So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tri Parenting Circle. We hold this circle once every month with a parent with a new journey in order to learn, connect, so that we understand that we might be following a particular terminology as homeschooling or unschooling. However, every family, every individual experience is very different, and we hope to learn from each other. So, Fareen and I, we met about 5 to 6 years back, and we started our journey, our unschooling journey, about 5 to 6 years back. And however, it's been very different. She has turned into an entrepreneur, started her business, and whereas we are still wondering how to juggle between our two kids and work. So today's session is all about how we can play between work, personal life, being a mom. So the different roles that we carry as a woman. I think we'll try and connect with Farheen and understand how we can do that.
Good to go. My younger one is already here.
Brilliant, brilliant.
So excuse the background noise.
Yes. But it's all about being a mom or a parent, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
well, that's exactly what he's telling us, how we can juggle and balance and try and connect with ourselves, being a mother and an individual.
I I had a family business which I was involved in for about 7 to 8 years before I had Danish, and by the time I got pregnant, I'd sort of reached my limit. I knew I wanted to do something else. I had managed to put that on autopilot, and it was something more that I inherited rather than something that I started. So I knew I wanted to do something different. And then Danish came along, and during my pregnancy, I was on bed rest for a good amount of time. So I had a yeah, I think as a new parent, I wasn't whatever I was doing in my in the business, I was just doing it on a need basis. But after Danish was about 4 or 5, that's when I also found the need to do something else, to do something for myself. It's not that I was bored of parenting, but I just felt like I needed something more. And then I had Daniel. Um, and actually I started this my current business with another homeschooling mother. We sort of just got talking, and we were like, okay, this would be amazing, and it just started out of a conversation. But I think with the second child, I don't know whether I was more prepared, or I was more relaxed, or I was just like, they will bring themselves up, I don't need to do much. But I had the time and the energy and bandwidth to look at to do something for myself. So of course, I think personally, I think being an entrepreneur is way easier than having a job, because I can take my kids to work. I As the boss, I'm allowed to go for meetings with my kids. There are a whole lot of allowances that you get like that. And of course, the timings are completely flexible, so there's no one sitting on my head that I need this deadline by by this date. And with respect to my homeschooling journey, it was I have always been interested in education, but I never thought I would homeschool my children. I definitely thought I would put them in an alternate school. I myself went to a Montessori till I was about 6 or 7. So I had either a Montessori or a Waldorf in mind. And then one day my husband just dropped the bombshell that why don't we homeschool Danish? And I was just like, are you serious? So first I thought he's just sort of, testing my limits and pushing the buttons. And then I realized, no, he's actually damn serious. Um, then I said, okay, let me figure out how this works. And I tried to connect with people. So I got in touch with Purva from Sadhana. And then she told me about Ashita. And then I started going for the tribe sessions. And the more we met, and the more I understood about unschooling, homeschooling, I was more and more convinced about the whole philosophy. And I also think at that time, the 2.5, 3, I don't think Danish was ready to go to school. Like, it would have been psychologically for him, it would have been very, very disturbing. And I don't say that's the case for all children, but definitely for him it was. Now for Daniel, who's my younger one, who's 3 now, was creating the ruckus. He actually wanted to go to school a few months back, and we were just walking on the road, and he saw this school near my house which had a trampoline. So he said, "Ye kya hai?" I'm like, "Ye school hai." So he's like, "Mujhe school jana hai." And he was like really serious for at least 2 weeks, and 2 3 times even at 8 o'clock at night he said, "Mujhe abhi ke abhi school leke jao." So I literally took him over there and I was like, "Look dude, it's closed now, we can't go now." And then I actually did take him to 2 or 3 schools, and once he realized that he can't just be jumping all the time, then he would also have to get up early, and he couldn't get up whenever he wanted. He was like, "Okay, nahi jana hai mujhe." But yeah, I think for me, I saw older homeschool kids and I saw their relationship with their parents. So that was a very big factor to convince me about homeschooling my children. And I also understand the futility of most of the stuff you learn in school and college. I myself, professionally, I'm an engineer, but honestly, I think those 4 years were a waste of my time and energy. I could have done so much more with it. So to the world, it's like, "Oh, you're an engineer," but only I know what nonsense I did in those 4 years and how irrelevant what I learned was. So, and in today's day and age of AI, if I'm expecting my child to learn, you know, crammed history dates and things, I just think it's my stupidity. So yeah, that's my background.
So when you said that, your husband suggested, were you aware of this term, or was it just, did you find out, did you research more about it? And do you loosely use the term homeschooling, unschooling? Do you see a difference, or do you feel a difference between the two models?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. So I would say unschooling is a subset of homeschooling. No, when Adil told me about homeschooling, I did not know anybody who's homeschooled their kids. I mean, I knew one or two cases where the kids in eighth or ninth, sort of, there was too much academic pressure, and then the parents kept them at home and they gave their board exams through home or through some private channel. But I wouldn't really term that as homeschooling now. Um, and but also a background is that he is very unorthodox in a lot of ways. So his background is a photojournalist, and he's anti-mainstream a lot of things. It was a big shock to me earlier, but I am anti-mainstream medicine. So we are anti-mainstream different things. So when I got the concept of anti-mainstream education, like I said, okay, let's look into it. It wasn't like this makes no sense. I said, yeah, it probably makes sense. And then the more I got into it, so I think in the first year of Tribe, along with Ashita and 3 other mums, we went to Pune. And that for me was a very, what should I say, monumental trip, because we just got to talk to other homeschooling parents. And when you talk in mainstream, people do not try to understand you. They just try to prove you wrong as to why you're wrong by homeschooling your kids. Or, okay, you're homeschooling, when will you put them into school? Like age 5, age 6, age 8, like when? It's not a question. The question of just not sending them to school it's like blasphemous. So that trip was defining. And yeah, I think I took 2 or 3 years just talking to people, and then once I knew, I knew. Now I don't care. जो बोलना है बोलो यार, मेरे बच्चे हैं. I know what I'm doing. So on that trip, or on a trip where we went to Auroville, I don't remember, but somebody mentioned that you don't need to teach your child how to read, and they will just learn to read on their own. Honestly, when I heard it, I didn't believe it. I really didn't believe it. I said that's impossible. Um, but yeah, I proved myself wrong. Danish learned to read on his own. With him, I did a little. So I didn't know that much about unschooling right in the beginning, and I was also very high strung. I just felt that doing nothing. Ashita has a lot of, what should I say, influence on me on being less high strung. But I said I can't just not do anything with my child, that's crazy. So we had a spare room and I had an entire Montessori set up. My first cousin is a Montessori teacher, so talking to her and all of that, I would take Danish up there like every day for half an hour, 1 hour, and we would do stuff. I don't think that went in vain. He probably gained something out of it. But I think once I started with the tribe sessions, then my need or the urge to do that reduced. And I also have a very big advantage that we have a lot of kids in my building. So my older son has 7 kids around the same age, and they play together a lot. So out of those 7, 3 of them go to a Waldorf school. So they're very. It's not homeschooling, of course, but it's a very relaxed philosophy. They don't have that much homework and stuff like that. And even the other kids, yeah, so two of them do have homework, and he's seen that they never come to play because they're always doing homework. So I think that also emphasized his being clear about not wanting to go to school. Like he couldn't see himself sitting and doing you know homework for that long every day. And so yeah, there is, I know a lot of people now who homeschool, but they follow a proper curriculum, they follow a board, they are doing very structured learning at home. So they've picked up school and they've got it home. As of now, my deal with Danish is we're supposed to do an hour of learning every day. So now, okay, 5 times a day, and on the days we go to office, he's excused. But it's still a struggle, and it's nowhere near anything that they do in school. So I try and get him to give him a project on AI, or do go to ChatGPT and tell me something. I try and make it as interesting as I can for myself, but I wouldn't say he's like gung ho over it. It's still a struggle. Um, but yeah, I don't. So again, when I did say that a child will learn to read on their own, so English, I think he will learn to read on his own. Absolutely no issues, because he's exposed to English um, everywhere. Hindi, I think, is more of a struggle. At home, none of us read Hindi like generally. He's not that exposed to it. He can talk, of course, but I think Hindi is something he will not learn on his own because the exposure is just not there. So, just the other day, my husband and me were discussing, and he was like, "Why are you breaking your head over making him trying and reading Hindi?" And I'm not sure why I'm doing it, but I'm trying. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe I'll give up before he does. I don't know.
I think as parents, since we're living in the mainstream society, and we keep hearing that, and when we talk about languages, living in Maharashtra, you're like, you don't know Marathi. And I was like, Sara, we need to pick up most of your friends are Marathi, and yet you still speak in English. So this is the basic ground where you can pick up the language and, understand and play with it. So I think it never crossed her mind, and it doesn't come naturally to them. So what I'm also learning through this journey is that when the need arises, does the learning happen? So why should I learn Hindi and why should I learn Marathi is like, you want me to do it. I don't essentially.
So honestly, Hindi, it wasn't me that initiated it. He saw his friends learning, and then he came to me and he said, Mama, I want to learn Hindi. So we started it like that. It wasn't me. It was like, Chal beta, let me teach you Hindi. No, Baba. I was so the happiest after 10th when I dropped Hindi. But then I feel like, as homeschooling parents, there's something called perseverance, which is not there with the kids because they're very fluid. Okay, we want to do it, we'll do it. We don't want to do it, we won't do it. And that's also a very important life skill, in my opinion. So there's some things which, um, if the initial thing came from him and he wants to do it and he's struggling, then I feel like it's my duty to just make him cross that bridge. And then after he learns the basics and then he decides, okay, I don't want to do this, then I'm okay dropping it. But that initial perseverance, when things get tough, then I don't like, I prefer not to stop at that point.
Yeah, fair enough. Because absolutely, for my daughter also, reading happened naturally. But and a bit of math is coming in now. But other than that, there is no other academic per se, which is.
I think Sara and Danish, like his math came first. He was very strong, and I have no idea how it came. Like one day he just came and told me, "Ask me 6 times tables," and I'm like, "What?" So I asked him, and he knew them, and I was like, "How the hell do you know this? I've not even like." He's like, "No, if blah 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 hit six sixes in one over, I have to know na kitna runs hua." So I said, "Okay, Baba, very good." And when they learn like that, I realized that their comprehension, the why behind the math. So it's not just tables for him, but he understands the practical implementation of it and the logic behind it. That is the base is much stronger than some of the other kids I've seen.
Yes, absolutely. I think when they need it, they'll find a way of doing it, and yeah, they may not be able to kind of replicate the model or how they're computing it in their heads, but they know it. And I think for me, as
No, it's impossible to understand how the brain works. I mean,
did you feel, somewhere the urge or the need with two kids and profession to ease out the load or simplify one's life, to send them somewhere, that urge that we go through as a parent or a mother, spending most of the time. So, did you cross that path, or you could just have.
so I didn't, honestly. Like a lot of parents do tell me, and Danish was a very chipku child, like you know that. Um, but no, I didn't. A lot of parents tell me that also. Okay, how can you manage with your kids being at home all the time? Like, don't you go crazy? Um, I don't know, but no, I don't go crazy. I love it. And also, I think because they have their friends, they're not really with me all the time. Like, if you were not an entrepreneur, then how different? I'll get to it. Sometimes on holidays, I don't even know that Danish is in the same house as me. Like, he lives in the same building. So, I think because they have their friends, he is not always, stuck to me or anything like that. Yes, there are times, um, especially during school days when we are home and all his friends are at school and we don't have things to do. And earlier, I would take that responsibility on myself. Okay, I have to keep him occupied. But now I have made him understand that if he is bored, it's good for him. His brain is working. He's not gonna get screen, and I'm not gonna feel guilty if he's bored. So you go deal with it. And I think with Daniel now, because they're both bored and they have nothing else to do, then they play with each other. So I remember as a child sitting at the doctor's or clinic or going in the car or just sitting mindlessly for a really long time, very often doing nothing. And I don't think that harmed me too much. And especially if they're at home, they have a lot of physical activity. So boys need that. Like, very often he'll be down for 5 hours a day, cycling, skating, jungle gym, whatever, getting wet, even if it's getting wet 3 times a day in the monsoons. And I think it's absolutely required in Bombay houses. If I have to have two boys at home the whole day, I would go mad, they would go mad. And we have a very small house, but we have a trampoline, and we had a ladder for Danish, and we had a lot of stuff just to keep them physically active.
Yes, I can surely vouch for that because having a daughter first and then a son, it's completely different. I mean, I couldn't imagine that zindagi itni badal jayegi, but yeah, I can surely say that with a boy, it's very, very different. Though both my kids are, they love play and outdoors. However, it's different energy. So yes.
Um, okay, so apart from work and home and kids, there are a lot of small projects that I am involved in. And I think if I weren't an entrepreneur, I would just be involved in more stuff like that. Um, I think there are lots of things I want to do even now, which I think if my kids saw me doing it, they're just going to learn from it. So, like, let's say a beach cleanup, for example. It's been something on my mind for a long time, and I think it would be amazing if the kids did it with me, but I just haven't had the time. So, things that are of interest to you, just do those. And at Auroville, the I don't remember her name, but the lady who started Sadhana Forest, the couple, that lady told me that you just be the best version of yourself, and your kids will automatically pick that up. And that really hit home. If I lead my entire life behind my kids, they'll just be like, Mama is just looking after us. What does she do? What does she know? Nothing. But if they see that I have a life and I'm living my best life, and I'm being the best version of myself, they're going to pick that up themselves. So I think that one sentence hit me very, very hard, and especially because at that time I was not living my best life. So yeah, that had a very big impact on what I did next.
That's very, very important and pivotal, especially as women, because very naturally, we tend to kind of leave other things or ourselves behind and, get into the role of a mother or a parent. So, yeah, I mean, we've been to schools or places where, you're taught like moral values or things like that. And I wonder how can that really be? How can you teach an individual? But definitely, align with what you're saying is that you be yourself.
You just have to teach by example. I mean, there is no other way. You can't tell your kid do this when you're not doing it. There's no way. So, I mean, they're not going to do it. I mean, even if you do it, they may not do it. Like, I don't see my kids putting away their things or keeping the house clean. It's an impossible task.
That's a universal problem. It's everywhere on the globe. How, when, what will make them happen, I don't know. But a bit of fear, a bit of losing control, giving them the sense of space. I think everything.
And also, I think each child learns differently and has different motivations. So I know if you give Danish a challenge, like, he will do it. He is super. I mean, he wants a challenge. So, we're Muslim, right? So we fast for 30 days in the month of Ramzan. And when he was 7, Adil just, randomly told him, "Oh, if you fast this month, I'll give you 10,000 bucks." Absolute as a joke, like, not ever expecting it to be possible. He hadn't even fasted a single day before that. So you get where I'm coming from? And he did it. He did 30 days. We were shocked. I mean, unbelievable. So then I realized that okay, he needs a challenge, and that's the best way he learned. Okay, fine. So give him a challenge.
When we work with the strength of the child, instead of giving them a curriculum कि आपको ये सीखना है, or this is what we need to be as a good child, as a good individual. I think once we get to know the strength or the skill of the child and we work through it and with it, I think half the battle is won. I wouldn't say it becomes really easy and the job is done. But yeah, you got the key to the lock. So, you can try and unlock it as you kind of progress through the journey.
I read few days back regarding the boredom. I really don't remember the author. So he was emphasizing on love boredom, embrace the boredom. It will boost the creativity. It will develop the curiosity and it will give you something which you were not expecting.
Even getting bored because they have devices. There are lots of things to do, digital things. They are not interacting with humans, but the computers and the gadgets. So they are not getting bored. So that's how the creativity is getting hampered. And few organizations or political parties are there which deliberately doing these things in order to suppress our creativity, and they are coming with their own agenda. So it's happening.
I think now it's become a challenge and a key role as a parent to make your child get bored because they're so highly stimulated with so many things that because it's an instant behavior you can see. The moment my daughter is playing and now she's got into Roblox, and of course the time when it comes to give up the gadget, of course mama, 2 more minutes, 5 more minutes, blah blah blah, and when you take it, you can see the body flaring up. So it's not, of course it creates a reaction in me, but I'm like, okay, it's not her, it's the energy which is sitting in her through that gadget which is making her do it. So it's hard parenting, and especially when we're kind of homeschooling or unschooling. It's a beautiful challenge, I would put it like that. It's an interesting challenge to undo oneself and unlearn and, as Pareen said, create the best versions of yourself. So yes. Pareen, I think we have some questions. Yeah.
Sadhana Forest is this forest near Auroville, and it started by I think a Jewish couple. I'm not 100% sure, but they have 2 daughters. And when they started it, it was a completely barren piece of land, and they've built a forest now over there over so many years. And of course, they advocate saving water and afforestation, etc. But they've unschooled both their daughters as well. So normally when you go there, you have to pay a nominal amount for food, but your stay it's a very basic stay, but that is free in exchange of volunteering. So you have to volunteer for whatever their tasks are, watering the forest, growing stuff, etc. But when you go as an unschooling parent, especially if you're just a single parent with your child, you're exempted from all of that. You can just sort of take care of your kids and let them enjoy the space, and talk to the founders, which is an amazing experience. So me and another friend of mine had gone. Our kids were about 3.5 at that time, both boys, and they had a beautiful experience. So no devices, no gadgets. There's the rooms. I can't even call them rooms. They're basically huts. They have no electricity. You have no running water. But yeah, the kids didn't mind that at all.
No, it's a completely game changer being there, and I think when you're given the right environment, when the kids are given the right environment, they don't really need anything else. We believe they need tools to learn. However, I think they find their own tools or they make their own tools. And if you're in a forest, like Sadda Forest, in the middle of the forest, you have people to connect with and very different things to do. So yeah, you're learning.
That is the best learning you can give your child. Like, they will just pick up so much like that. So we do go a lot, but our primary base is in Bombay. But I found that every time we're out of Bombay, the learning is phenomenal.
Yes. Okay. I'll read the question. Preeti is asking, in the sense, did it take time for you to figure out that what would those factors be to bring out your best version?
You know what? If you're happy, that's the best version of yourself. You just have to figure out on a scale of 0 to 10 where you are. Maybe you've been above, like at a higher level before, which I had been, and I knew I wasn't at that peak. And then you figure out how to get there. So, first is just accepting that you're not there. Second is um, realizing that that's where you want to go, and that's where you can be despite being a parent, despite homeschooling. Because most of what society tells you, right, is, oh my god, you now have kids, you can't do anything, your life is over, don't even think about yourself. Like, that's what most people tell you. But it's not like that. Even if you're homeschooling, even if your kids are with you all the time, you can I think you can have a beautiful life. And personally, I feel like it's easier. I mean, now I just think of it, getting up at 6, making dabbas, then taking them to school, then getting them back, then doing homework. Like, seriously? No, Baba, you sleep till 9 o'clock. Get up aram se, I'll give you breakfast at 10. So, Danish is into cricket, okay? He has been going for cricket for the last 2 years. And just dropping him and getting him back, I was like, how do people do school, man? I don't know how they do school. So, yeah, it's not, school is not easy. Sending your kids to school is not easy, in my opinion.
No, it's a lot of challenge and a lot more stress, definitely. And especially for not the early risers like us, surely mornings are stressful.
Okay, so I live in a big joint family where my husband's in our building we have about 10-12 flats which belong to my husband's family. So my older son has 7 friends around the same age, like plus minus 2-3 years, who he plays with a lot. My younger son has no friends. There's nobody his age, so he just sort of tags along with the older kids. Having said that, I understand that this is a very similar kind of social network. So I think, yes, as a homeschooling or unschooling parent, you have to make the effort to go out and meet people. I mean, so every time we go out to meet people, even if it's just to a play area, and especially earlier, I would just tell his friends, we are doing school. So if we are going to bounce, that's school for us. You know, so kids do. I've had cases where kids tell him, तू तो कुछ नहीं सीखेगा, तू तो स्कूल ही नहीं जाता है, तू तो बुद्धू होएगा, तू तो ये होएगा. You know, things like that, which in any setting you're going to get bullied. It's not that just because he's not, it's possible he goes to school and he gets bullied. So he has to figure out how to stand up for himself. But if we are doing something, I make it a point even to tell Danish that this is your school. I believe that learning, if I'm taking you to bounce, what you're learning over there is more important in my head than what you would have learned sitting in a classroom for 30 minutes. So I don't want him to grow up thinking, you know, his parents are like careless and don't care about him. No, we are making very conscious choices and decisions that this is better for you than this. So, yeah, I do make an effort to meet other homeschooling parents and to go out, and even my friends, if they're in town or if they live in Bombay, we try and meet as often as, I mean, especially my friends with kids. So we do try and meet as much as possible. And having said that, you know what? You can go to school for 15 years and still not make friends. Just because you're going to school does not mean you're good at socializing, or it does not mean you have a ton of friends. So it's an innate nature of the person. And I don't know why that's a like a first question people ask you. So how does he meet people? How does he make friends? Just because you're going to school does not mean you're going to have a ton of friends. And it's okay if you don't have a ton of friends. Like, it's fine if you have two best friends. I genuinely think that's fine too.
Absolutely. In fact, when you're in school and we've been through our school years, how much time were we allowed to talk? You anyway can't connect or talk or communicate during the 30-minute periods or the 45 minutes period. You know, you have to focus on the blackboard and the teacher, which is draining enough. So, yeah, I think we just believe that going to school means because you're surrounded by so many kids, you're socializing. So, yeah, that's true. I mean, I think you make better bonds and relationships once you're doing more of one-on-one and, you know, spending quality time with peers around you.
And you know, like my mom, she has a set of 5 school friends, 5 or 7, and they still meet like they're all across the world now. They're in touch. They meet like once in 2 years, once in 3 years, whatever. I am not in touch with any of my schoolmates. So it like while I was in school, I was very friendly with them and all of that. But I think as you go through different phases in life, you also change. You're not the same person you were when you were, 8 years old or 12 years old. So my set of friends now is completely different from my set of friends earlier. So that's fine. I mean, I don't think it's an issue.
And I think also we somewhere get stuck with the idea कि जो school में friends बन गए वही friends होते हैं. We somehow forget that you're living your years, you're changing as you said, you're evolving as a person. So your energy will change. You will meet different energies around you and make new friends. I think our unschooling journey has given us such beautiful connects with different people. Where probably if I was following the school's journey, I don't think I would have interacted with any one of you, and felt that there is much more to life, through this, where you feel free, more relaxed to just connect. It's again your choice. You choose whom you want to connect, and people choose if they wish to connect with you. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, So it is.
Yeah, and also I think like if my kids were going to school, my major friend circle would be their classmates' parents. That would not have been my choice. That would have been compulsion. Now my circle is my friends, and whether they like it or not, they have to be friends with their friends, with their kids. So, like, whether Danish and Sarah like it or not, they have to like each other.
Yeah, and still they have that freedom that it's okay if you're not connecting after a period of time, or it's not that, oh my god, no, the moms are friends so the kids also have to be friends, or you have to do the same thing. So I think how the homeschooling or the this journey helps us is to be oneself and yet stay connected. So I'm sure Danish won't say, look at that, look at her, why isn't she talking to me, and take it more personally. Whereas, yeah, we've met, we've connected, maybe just for half an hour, and maybe, we're sitting longer, but their thing is done. And I think as parents also, we're okay with that.
You were really talking a lot of nice things, which I really needed. And I had a question.
Thank
do
you.
Get your kids? Yeah. do you get your kids involved in what you are doing? I know they are quite small right now, but do they take interest, or do you plan to get them also involved to take forward whatever you are doing?
Yes and no. So I'm now consciously trying to get them involved at least in basic house chores. Um, so there is a difference if you have a boy or a girl. Okay, girls just listen to you. Like, it is so much easier. I have a niece who lives just next door, and I will tell her to do something and she'll do it like in the first shot. And Danish, for example, so he enjoys cooking, but after he finishes, it's like so much extra work for me to clean up that kitchen after he's done with it. But I still don't want, okay, yeah, maybe not all girls, but this has been my experience. Or at least they are better than boys. So my struggle right now is to just try and get them involved with basic housekeeping chores, folding their clothes, putting their plate in the kitchen. I think it's my fault. I should have started sooner, but it was just easier to do it myself than to get them to do it, and that was my mistake. So yeah, in the house chores, I'm trying to get them as involved as possible. When I'm at work, there are some things that they can do, there's some things that they can't do just because he's not old enough. So like so we make basically I make eco-friendly cleaning products. So one of the things he finds very interesting is to put the stickers on the bottles, but I can't let him do that because it has to be straight, and it's not me, like it's going to real customers and I can't have it go teda. So he can do the pouring and things like that, but he can't do the stickering. So unfortunately, a lot of the things that he finds interesting is stuff which maybe he just finds it interesting because I don't let him do it. Having said that, I have also been reading a book recently which says that it's very, very important for your kids to find value in what they do. And when they find that value, they will do it better and they will tend to do it. So that value can be monetary, it can be non-monetary. And so I have consciously been making an effort to, rather than to say, do this or else your screen time will be reduced, I've consciously been trying to make an effort to say, do this, and this is the value that you have, you will find that you will get. And I think that's easier. The struggle is less. I wouldn't say the struggle is not there, but it's less. So if we know that, okay, the house needs to be clean once a day, at least everything needs to be put away, even if it's going to be a mess 30 minutes after that, but once a day it needs to be all sorted out. So and the value is that he goes to other people's houses, he sees that they keep their stuff away, it's neat, it's clean, whatever. So when he comes to a clean house, he likes that, but he doesn't like the actual task of doing it. So then maybe we'll just put on some music. And I've also realized that if I tell him go do it, he's not okay. But if I tell him, chalo, I'm helping you, we'll do it together, then he's much more inclined to do it. So yeah, I also have to have that patience to do it with him. So it's learning for me.
So I've had a hard time, but I think now I realize that it's good. It's taught me that, instead of being dependent, of course it was my need since, Zian was younger, and somehow I found it difficult to juggle between the house and the kids. But now, asking my daughter to do it, it's something which brings more value, in my head. That, it's not a chore, it's not just to be done just for the heck of keeping the house clean, but it's also involving your child. Of course, they may not like it, 8 out of 10 times. But I think they also see it somehow, somewhere. It grows, in them slowly. So, yeah, the idea of somebody else just doing it away, which anyway happens once in a day, but other times when you are there, when it's just a family, it's a very nice and an intimate thing to just do it for each other.
And for some things I do give him monetary reward. So not for chores, not for home, like not for things that are his work, but the other day I had to make a delivery, and we were in the car. I went to the building and I told him, you just need to go up and hand it over. I would have paid the VFast guy maybe $100. I said, I'll give you 50. So he learns how to go independently, how to figure out which flat number, things like that. He doesn't always do it. He did it one day, the next one, another time he said, "Nay, it's dark now, I don't want to go." So I let it be. I didn't push him. I think when he's ready, he'll do it. So, and that also teaches him value for money, because he realizes. Danish is good with numbers. He's always understood the value of things. I haven't really had an issue with him there. Even when he's wanted stuff, he always asks how much it costs, and then he calculates whether it makes sense or not. So I haven't really had an issue with him over there, but that's just him. He's good with numbers. I don't know about my younger one as yet.
That will be a different volume, don't worry. You'll have to kind of do it in a different way all over again. So, yeah.
I try. So, one of my goals is to have 15 minutes of uninterrupted time with each child every day. And when I made it, I was like, dude, I'm with them 24 hours. How hard can it get? But it's difficult. It is a challenge between their playtime and my schedule and all of that, to literally have just 15 minutes alone with one child without anything else is a challenge. With my younger son, it's not that difficult because he's still happy being home. So like right now, the kids are playing down, but if I wasn't over here, I would probably be playing with him. So with him, I get that time without an issue. And I just make sure in my head that for those 15 minutes or whatever, I keep my phone away and I don't do any work. But with the older one, it's harder. And with him, he wants like physical playtime. And he has reached a point when he's about as strong as I am. So it really takes a lot of effort from physical effort from my end to, do kushti with him or whatever. But I found like the night times are the easiest. He also knows that if he comes to sleep early on time, like if he is home before 10, which is the deadline I've kept for him, then we will play. With him, oftentimes my younger one is there, but I try and make him do something independently. And then we'll either have some physical playtime, or we'll play like a board game or cards or whatever. And I know he wants that because he's always like 5 minutes more, 5 minutes more. But if I ask him to come and play with me during the day when he's playing with his friends, he'll just be like, अच्छा 5 मिनट के बाद मैं आ रहा हूँ ना मम्मा, बोला ना मैंने मैं आ रहा हूँ. So that's on his schedule, not mine.
That's totally, and it's amazing how the energies never stop. I mean, both for my daughter and my son. I mean, she'll be dead tired by night. Yet she can go on another role of playing and doing some musty before sleeping, and we're like, it's bedtime, so we need to wind up, we need to calm down, but that surely doesn't happen. So it's an unending, you know.
And also, I think we do a lot of car journeys together. So my commute by car is a lot, either going to work or dropping him for cricket. So I've tried to utilize that time by having meaningful conversations. And actually, to do that, I need to put in an effort beforehand to figure out questions that I'm going to ask him. But oftentimes, I found that effort to be worth it.
These meaningful conversations, how do you prepare those questions? Means I'm just trying to figure out the term which is very in trend, like connection over correction. So how parents are connecting with their kid, in the sense that when they are going to school, we have lots of free time. But when they are at home the whole day with us, it's like they are already with us, and how do what is that separate time, that 15 minutes, 20 minutes, what difference that time makes, and how that can be utilized in more productive way to connect with them, and how they are feeling, or because it's just a start for me. I have just started this homeschooling from April.
And how old is your child, Preeti?
So my son is 6 years.
Okay.
I'll give you an example that I faced recently. So Danish gets very angry. Okay, he will flare up and he will flare down. And when he gets angry, he gets mad. Like there is no, like I cannot reason with him at that time. So here's an example that I gave him when we were in the car once. That I said, if you were walking to the store and somebody came and banged you and shouted at you कि देखते नहीं हो कहाँ पे चल रहे हो, would you get angry? So he said, yeah, of course. I said, what would you do? He said, I would go and hit him and tell him this, that. I said, okay. I said, now if I tell you that that uncle's son is in hospital and he needs like 2 lakh of rupees to give in the next 30 minutes for his son's operation, and because the bank is closed, he is not able to remove that money, and he is busy on the phone calling people, arranging the money, would you still react like that? So then he was like, no, maybe not. So I said that you don't know what the other person is going through. So just being so angry at somebody because they did something to you is not the best, may not be the best reaction. Now, my telling him this once is not going to help. It has to be similar conversations repeated again and again, just to understand that the other person may have something else going on with them as to why they're reacting like that. So I don't think it's a conversation that I can have with him just one day and be done with it. But if I'm conscious of I know that his issue is anger. So keeping that in mind, if the conversations happen over a period of 6 months to a year, I think eventually it will make a difference. Now, when your question you ask that they are home the full day and anyways you're with them, yes, they are home the full days, but you're not with them. At least I am not. I am on my phone. I am in the kitchen. I am, doing whole lot of other things. Just doing housework, just doing with the husband, whatever. So I am not with the kids. I don't think so. So to be with them, you really have to be conscious about it. For me, it is to put my device on the side and be mindful that, or if someone calls, or if a neighbor comes, or any of those things, then say like this, just hold on to this, I will get back to you in some time.
I am actually trying to explore this space because I'm not happy, or I feel whatever I teach them during summer holidays is much better than what they are teaching at school. Like practically, I don't wanted them to buy hat, or I don't wanted them to read unnecessary things. Sometimes I feel it is all lot of unnecessary in this in the curriculums and all. So I don't believe in a specific curriculum. I wanted to be child centric in that. When I'm trying to do it and then trying to convince, so my husband and his parents all are completely no, and it's getting very difficult for me. And I thought I'll get some idea on how to convince our partner. If not my in-laws, it's okay, but at least I need to convince my partner of doing this. Feeling little difficulty in that. He's telling that okay, kids come from school at 3:30, so from 3:30 you do whatever you want, but then let's not stop the school, let's not come out of that regular path. But I feel that most of their time is gone to the school. Again, they'll be confused what is correct, that or this. And though they are not getting any homeworks as of now, since they are like 8.5 years old, as of now there are no homeworks. But even then, I don't wanted them to. I feel that it's a time waste going to school. Any suggestion would be appreciated, please.
I'm sorry, I don't have any expertise on this. I just feel I'm blessed that my husband is on the same page, because I fight on a lot of issues with him, but I don't think I would have been able to handle this as a fight. I agree, it's just very difficult if one spouse wants to send the child to school and one doesn't. Ashita, I don't know if you have any insights, but I feel it's important that whatever decision, both parents are on the same page.
I mean, ideally, yes, but I don't think there's anything wrong if each one of us are on a, different journey. If I want my child to be homeschooled, whereas the husband, and in your case, I think Farini, as you mentioned, that Adil was the one who wanted it and you were not, ready to begin with, or you were not aware of it. So it definitely takes time. So I think Kirti, probably one meeting and connecting, reading and sharing the readings with your spouse to understand, and also why are you convinced about it. Your conviction, will surely help him see the picture better as to what are you looking at. Why is it just no school and be at home? So to ask yourself that where am I coming from, and what is missing. So maybe, drawing that picture for him will help him see it. Not necessarily convince him, because it's a journey, it takes time. So maybe you can start with that. And also I feel that homeschooling, unschooling is again a lifestyle. So what are you choosing to do while you're at home can also be done while the child is at school. So can you blend the two worlds? If he wants the kids to go to school, and as he says that when they come back, can we do something, thereafter? So I do hear that it's, time related, but is there something deeper that you're looking at while homeschooling your children? So maybe if you spend some more time with it, with your questions, it'll help you find the answers, and then reach out to the family. And by family, I mean your spouse first, and of course the next step is the extended family, in-laws, parents, etc. So I guess
So Ashita, I want to add something. If the husband is, depending on what convinces him, sometimes it's movies, sometimes it's books, sometimes it's just talking to other people. So you figure out what it is that he listens to. He's not going to listen to you, like that's never going to happen. So what it is that he listens to, and try and have him interact with those things. So for example, if it's like if I believe in alternate healing, right? My child has fever, I don't want to give medicine. If I tell him I'm not giving medicine, it's like tu to pagal hai. But if there is somebody else who also tells him, who he sort of believes in, sort of respects, kind of agrees to, coming from that person is more likely to be open. So either meet some homeschooling families who have kids who are older, who who are on a path that your husband approves of. So if he wants your kids to be engineers or doctors or something like that, then don't make him meet musician kids. Like, figure out kids who have done homeschooling and are on the same path he envisions for his children. They may not be, even if they go to school, they may not become engineers and doctors. That's a completely different thing. But at least now, to convince them, or articles, there's a lot of studies out there to.
There are a lot of articles, researches online, a lot of talks by parents in India and abroad. Certain names to throw is like, you can read Peter Gray, John Holt, you can help him read that, or maybe audio, as Fareen is saying, that understand his strength, what works for him, or maybe players, or somebody. So wherever his strength lies, if it's hopefully not cricket but some other sport, then of course you can go through that. Or we've had people like Rabindranath Tagore ji, he's been homeschooled, and so many other people who followed this. And so it's what you look at. What is your prescription for homeschooling or unschooling? What is it that you believe in? And as I said, it's not just.
Also, if you all are on the same page on where you want your kids after 15 years, like, what do you want your kids to become? Where do you see them? If both husband and wife can come onto the same page for that, then you all can figure out a path to get there. But if the end goal is only not clear.
Yeah, actually, one thing we both are on same page is, let us not decide anything now, because kids are so young. Let's give exposure to different things. These are all the options, and let them only choose. So I don't wanted my kids to become engineers or doctors. I wanted to choose them something different, where their interest lies on, or for example, I have twin boys. So my elder one likes to draw, to paint, or he's very creative. But my younger one, on the contrary, he wanted to be very disciplined. He wanted to read some things. He writes all the rule books in the home, though we follow it or not. He simply writes that this is what you will have to do. This is what you will have to do. He tries to do the budget for the home. So all these small things we are doing it. So I just wanted them to explore and find it out, rather we deciding something. So on that page, we both have same opinion, agreed on one point, that let us not decide any career for them. I think maybe that's too much of overtaking on our opinions to them. So
why don't you just try for 1 year and ask your kids if they are liking it or not, and decide based on their.
Yeah, actually, I talk to my kids a lot, and I explain them. I tell them that this is what I am trying to prove. This is what I am telling to, because they also have to face, right, tomorrow when I start. So they should know what was my intention. Why did we do it? Why are we doing it? They should not come back telling that everybody is going to the school. I taught them during summer holidays, and they said this is what happens when I am doing homeschooling. And if you go to school, you know already how it would be. So whatever you like, it's completely up to you. If one wanted to be at home and another wanted to go to school also, it's completely fine. Right. So they are like very supportive. I get better support from my kids rather than my other family members.
So I think you already have a team going. I don't think your husband can.
I need anybody now. You have the ball in your court. So I just shared, it's not like that my husband was not convinced, but he has certain argument that क्यों करना चाहिए और क्यों नहीं करना चाहिए. So we decided we list on all our questions. why we should not and why we should. And then we had a question, we had a debate on it. नहीं ऐसे होना चाहिए. For 2-3 days we had like कि क्यों करना चाहिए. And my daughter was certain in some point she was also involved. So she has only one agenda to go to school because she has gone to DPS and DPS has a huge playground. And she said she wants to go because it has a playground. So वहाँ पे हमारा क्वेश्चन एक्चुअली खत्म हो गया कि उसको स्कूल जाना है बिकॉज वहाँ पे प्लेग्राउंड है. तो वो एक पॉइंट था कन्विंस होने का मेरे हस्बैंड का भी, क्योंकि वो खेल रही थी और उसको खेलना था. मैंने बोला उसको पढ़ना है, वो यहाँ भी पढ़ रही है, जो भी पढ़ना है उसका मेन अट्रैक्शन स्कूल का प्लेग्राउंड है. तो वो एक पॉइंट था. सो आई थिंक वो भी एक एक्सरसाइज हेल्प कर सकता है कि क्यों जाना है और क्यों नहीं जाना है. सो दैट विल टेक अ लॉट ऑफ डिबेट और बहुत सारे आर्गुमेंट और प्लस एंड माइनस नहीं है. बट हाँ, एक वो ओपनिंग पॉइंट होता है विद किड्स ऑल्सो. और बच्चे अगर साथ में हैं तो फिर हस्बैंड आ जाएंगे आपके भी साइड में.
In one of the other conversations with homeschooling parents, so I heard one experiences. So when the mother said every year they ask their children whether they want to join the school or not. In the month of April, so they get the consent. Do you want to go to school or not? So based on that, they decide.
I also do that. The same thing. Still, I'm asking. She's 10. I told her this is the last year I can get you admission in school easily. So you decide. So this kind of question we can ask and they'll be open about it. So first year she said, I want to try. I said okay. And then after a week she said कि नहीं मुझे नहीं जाना, मेरा बैडमिंटन क्लास मिस हो जाए. And after that she's on the same page that she doesn't want to go to school. The only thing is that she doesn't want to miss her badminton class.
So, Farheen, I want to know, do you have goals for your children? Personal, professional, or monthly or yearly? Do you plan your life with the children, work children?
I have goals for myself. I started an exercise of goal making with Danish, but I didn't think he was ready for it, so I'll probably try again in 6 months.
If you don't mind sharing the goals you have for yourself.
Oh. I have a lot. So I have about 10 categories: intellectual, physical, emotional, business related, financial related, my kids related, husband related, friends and family related, and lifestyle related. So I have all these categories. And
we need to have a separate session with you for this.
Yeah, so I thrive on lists and goals and whatever, so that keeps me going.
True, I think it's something, as you said, that whatever you like, I write it down because I've reached a stage where I can't remember things, so I have to pen it down, so it just comes out of force, because otherwise I get frustrated. So I put down a night before, what do I need to do tomorrow? And I think that's what, as you said, you making a goal sheet will be reflected somewhere down the line in the kids, because they're observing you. So instead a strategy that we, as in school, of course, we've learned planning kaise karte hain, and what is visual planning and this and that. I think what they see in us is what they're definitely learning. So yeah, I mean, and there's no harm saying that these are my goals and I have failed at them. I think that's also a very important lesson that I'm sure it's there for you, because if they see your disappointment, they learn the most that it's okay. Everything will not come true.
Yeah, and I also discuss it with at least Danish, because he's now old enough to understand. So if I'm doing something, simple thing, if I'm drinking haldi pani in the morning, sometimes he sees me, sometimes he's sleeping and that's fine. But if he sees me, Then he asks me, "What are you drinking? Why?" And he had seen for a long time the first thing I drank was coffee. And so he noticed, like, why not? So then I explained to him that, okay, I love coffee, but, I didn't think it was the best thing to put into my system first thing in the morning. So I think just discussing these things with them is pretty helpful.
Yeah, and I think as the other Preeti asked, the connect. So I feel that these are little instances or examples that happen throughout the day. So the connect is anyway happening. Here you have made it a point. It's completely your personal outlook where you say, I want to spend 15 minutes. But I think as a parent, if you can't or you're still not there, it's perfectly fine because you are connecting with your child and he or she is observing you. So it's kind of, it is there, the bond is there. So I think it's for us parents to take less pressure and enjoy this homeschooling, the freedom, the space that it brings, and just be ki ho jayega. Of course, we all have our stressful moments, and having them around you 24/7 is extremely overwhelming, especially boys and girls, I wouldn't say. So yeah, my daughter doesn't keep the kitchen clean if she's doing something. So yeah, I have to come in, pitch in and say, okay, put this here or things like that. But yeah, every energy is very, very, very different, and there's so much that we're learning from them. They're teaching us how it's okay and just to be, and it's fine if you forget. For us, it's not fine if they forget, but they're okay with it. It's all right. Oh, ho gaya na, chhod do. What kind of environment you keep for the kids to get bored or make them think of doing something they like? In my case, it's joint family. TV is most of the time it's on, and time is utilized in watching TV. How to break that pattern of watching TV for the kids?
I have fought in my house for this. Okay, it's been ugly. I didn't see any other way of doing it for this and junk food. My kids get bored when they go to office, but yeah, I had to really fight with. So my mother-in-law has her own device, and she sees no issues giving it to my kids whenever they ask for it. But yeah, I fought tooth and nail, and then sometimes I just have to be around and snatch it or whatever. But I'm not okay with unlimited screen time. My kids get a decent amount. Danish gets 1.5 hours a day, which is more than any other child his age I know. Daniel doesn't have a limit as such, but he gets, with all of these things, it's an hour, I would say. So I'm not okay with more. So yeah, sometimes I have to fight with my in-laws. And then if the TV is on, then you just take them out. I know it's easier said than done, but then I just take them down or take them to a park or whatever. Then I get out of the house. Because you can't always expect them to switch the TV off.
Yeah, house rules are very important, and everyone should follow those. That's very important while raising the kids.
Yeah, but you know what? When you're in a joint family, it's not always possible. And then I think that itself is a learning for the kids. So they have to understand that it's okay for their grandparents to watch. It's not okay for them to watch. So like I drink coffee. It's okay for me as an adult to drink my coffee. It's not okay for you as a child to have. That's it. Those are the rules, and set them. And it'll take time. Like it'll take a week or two if they're used to watching. But once you set it, it'll that short term trouble will be a long term gain.
I mean, if you explain why coffee is not right for your body, so they do understand and they do respond.
For screen, I just give Danish my phone and tell him, you ask ChatGPT why you can't watch more. So it's not coming from me, it's coming from the screen itself.
Okay, that's something we'll have to try.
And I do this every few weeks. Like I tell him, go ask YouTube, go ask ChatGPT. So I think he listens to them more than he listens to me.
Well, that's true. I mean, they will listen to their parents or probably the technology now more than their parents. That's always been the case.
Yeah.
You know, until our generation, it was the friends, but now I think it's friends plus technology and the AI and everything.
Technology.
Yeah, so I think you've given me a good this thing that I should probably feed in and make Sarah hear more of what ChatGPT has to say. So yeah, that's a good way. I don't know how convinced will she be, but yeah, we can definitely try. And I think it's all about trying out different things and taking it on as much, because every child will take his or her own time. So 6 months for you, maybe 1.5 years journey for me. So it could be very, very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tejal says, yes, it gives me confidence. I'll fight for it.
Yeah, some things you have to fight for. Yeah, I don't know an easier way to do it. If you find an easier way, you tell me.
You have to fight for certain things, what's right for you, and you have to stand by it. So yeah, I think right now they feel it's versus us.
And
You always ask them, like I very often tell Danish, okay, I'm stopping you from doing this, but who is it benefiting? Is it benefiting you or is it benefiting me? Just get him to think, why am I not allowing him to do that? And what is my benefit? I to tell him, मेरे लिए तो बहुत easy है. जाओ, sit on the iPad and I'll do my work. It's damn easy for me. Why am I getting into this much thing with you? So that also gets him thinking that yeah, genuinely it's easier for her if she just lets me do what I want. So maybe there's some logic behind it. But again, it depends on your child's temperament. I think this explaining works with Danish. I don't expect it to work with my younger one.
No, they also understand. In fact, by default, it kind of reaches them because we're telling the older one, so the younger one is anyway passively hearing it. So, in fact, my little one goes and tells, Sarah that this is not good for you, na mama ne bola hai na. I'm like, yeah, you're telling her, but what about you when you're in the picture? Why don't you realize it for yourself? So yeah, you have interesting banters and humor happening at home, and that's the fun. So I think that's the beauty of being at home together, seeing each other grow, because I think as individuals we are also growing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's absolutely fun. So Tejal says thank you so much, and it was great to understand.
Thank you, all of y'all.
And so
Thank you all of y'all.
Thank you all of you for being here. Sorry, yeah, Amar, do you want to say something?
No, I was just wanted to say thanks to Farheen for bringing us such insights and giving us confidence. Yeah, we are also struggling. We are also on the same page. Yeah, thanks a lot. And thanks to Ashita as well for
You will
organizing
struggle
this, keep
whether
organizing.
at school or at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we tried
So
everything.
just enjoy the struggle. It is both fun.
True. Absolutely. I agree with you. Thank you, Ashita, for bringing such insightful
Thank you.
sessions, and keep organizing.
Thank you so much for all of you being here. It definitely supports and motivates us to go forward and meet a new journey and hear a new journey every month. Thank you so much, Farheen, for taking out time and being with us.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure listening to you.
Anything for you, Ashita.
Yeah, it's nice to see your friend on the other end and hear it from her. So yes, it's been a lot of fun. And thank you everybody. Thank you, Preeti, for being there with the video and holding us behind the scenes. So yes, until we meet with a new journey next month, it's good evening to everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.